Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today we'll be doing a comparison between the Blue Octave and the OC-5 Octave. Two great octave pedals. I love both of them and I had to have both of them, but if you guys want to know what the difference is, here's a few options here. So we're going to start with each of them and my favorite setting for each one. I use the OC-5 for more chordal stuff, and I use the Poly Blue for a good foundation for my bass synth sounds. So we're going to start with the OC-5. Well, we're going to start with my bass. This is just what my bass sounds like. And I have it EQ'd a certain way so it tracks better with the octavers as well. So pretty much more of a mid-range sound, and the lows and the highs cut a little bit to allow it to track a little better. So here we go. So yeah, there you go. Now let's go straight to the OC-5 in poly. It's in polyphonic mode. Um, Dry is around 12 o'clock. Octave up is around 9 o'clock, and the octave down is around 11, and the range is set to around 11 as well. So as you can hear, the lower octave is only affecting the lower notes, and the upper range is left alone with the lower octave. But the upper octave is over everything, it's playing all the time. So that's tracking everything. The upper octave, the octave up is tracking everything, but the octave down is only tracking the lower notes. And so, there's different ways you can do that. If you want more booty to that, you can always add more booty where you need to. But yeah, so now in terms of the Poly Blue, use this more for the synth sound. It gets you right to that with a lot of people, where you need to be in the synth territory. Here we go. And the octave, it's in monophonic mode with it's only the octave down around 11 and the octave up around 9 o'clock. Nothing else. Matter of fact, I'm just going to increase the volume of each one of those. So I'm going to put that Let's bring this lower octave to around 12, and let's put the octave up around 10 o'clock. So one thing you may notice right off of the back there is it tracks those octaves pretty well. You know, in the monophonic mode, a lot of times when you're trying to play faster passages, the octaver messes up. But this Poly Blue tracks very well in monophonic mode. Allows you to. And as you can hear, the latency. The reason I left the mic on right there so you can hear when I'm actually hitting the string and when the sound is sounding. It's not very much latency there at all. So a very low latency pedal there, you know, for your synth sounds, get you going. So let's go ahead. With the OC-5, you also, you know, it'll kick butt on that synth sound as well. And I use this in polyphonic mode for this. I'm going to put it around the same settings, 12 o'clock for the octave down, no dry signal, and put this octave up around 10 o'clock. So let's go ahead and start sprucing these sounds up a little bit. You know, of course, you know those are cool. You know, these are so some of the main differences right off of the back is the Poly Blue is pretty much like a small multi effects unit. It has the octaves up, 2 octaves up, and 2 octaves down, the dry signal. But then you have a mod section, a modulation section. On monophonic mode, it's the phaser. On polyphonic mode, it's a Leslie effect. And then you also have a fuzz effect on there as well. So you get 3 additional effects on top of having an octaver in polyphonic and monophonic mode. And you also get an expression input in there where you can morph between 2 presets, or you can turn on and off the fuzz in the monophonic modes. So, you know, you can have a separate foot switch pretty much that triggers the fuzz and triggers the monophonic mode, which is also useful. I don't use all that, you know what I'm saying? So I usually keep it on this monophonic mode like that, and I rock out, you know what I'm saying? I might hit this phaser a bit because this phaser is funky. There we go. So there's that too. You know what I'm saying? That makes get you plenty funky. Um, and on this OC5 here, you also have that OC2 mode. So let's hear a little bit of that as well. So let's just hear the octaves down so we can compare those two in monophonic mode. Now I will say you have to EQ these slightly differently. On the OC5, it doesn't need you to cut the bass frequencies as much. On the Poly Blue, you need to cut them a little more because it comes through with a lot more. The bottom, the octave down comes with a little more booty naturally. So, to get some more detail out of the sound, you may need to dial it back, and it helps the track better. But on the OC5, you don't have to really do that. So you can actually, might be able to boost your bass a little bit, depending on what sound you're going for. But it depends. Your bass frequency on your bass or whatever EQ you run into makes a difference in the sound itself, or the tracking at least. So here's vintage mode on the Poly, on the the OC5. So, yep. And here's the Poly Blue. Okay. And in Poly mode, I'm supposed to be doing just the octave down. I'm sorry, guys. Let me do that again. Still had some other little stuff on this one. Here we go. The Poly Blue with just the octave down. So, very nice sounds. Here's it in polyphonic mode. And unfortunately, the Poly Blue in poly mode has a lot more latency than the monophonic mode on there, which is another reason why I prefer the monophonic mode. I'll show you guys.